Hey everybody, Win or Lose on Disney Plus. This is a Pixar show, and you all love Pixar, don't you? I know I love Pixar. I watch whatever stuff they put out. This is the first time they've gone into a television show that isn't based on something that's already been done. I actually think they have one called Monsters at Work, plus they have Dream Factory, which I've already talked about before. Monsters at Work I didn't really like. I just kind of didn't really, I think I stopped watching after a few episodes. Dream Factory I liked a lot. That show had a huge potential, and I hope it comes back. Win or Lose, though, I have to say, is a major win. If you are not watching anything on Disney Plus, watch this show. Yes, it is designed for kids. It is designed to really address things that I don't think a lot of kids' properties or stuff that's targeted for kids really address, but it does it so darn well. And I couldn't believe what I was watching when I was watching this show. And I kind of went like, it's about time someone made a show like this. Now, before I get started as far as what this show is about, I'm going to address an elephant in the room that I know I've heard about this show. Apparently, this show was supposed to have a plot line dealing with a trans kid, and it eventually took it out. I don't know how that's going to affect the story in general, because we'll never know. Is that a cop-out move from Disney? I would have to say, yeah, I kind of wish that didn't happen. I understand that there are certain markets that Disney tries to appease that aren't ready for that sort of story yet, and it's sad that they aren't. However, I'm going to have to judge the show by what I saw in its first 2 episodes, and I have to say, I was blown away by this show. One thing I like about the show is it's centered around a group of characters, and we don't get introduced to all these characters as yet, but each episode focuses on one particular character. Now, this isn't uncommon for a show to do something like that. The show Lost kind of did this, where it would have an episode and there was stuff going on, but the show itself would often focus on one particular character. I think that Lost spiritual sequel, Once Upon a Time, kind of did this as well. This is a very old formula to do. But what I like is essentially you are seeing a show that takes place in a shared universe. And that shared universe is simply this softball league, and they have like a big game coming up. And we never really get to see the big game. Something tells me we're going to see that on the finale. And at that point in time, all the character stories are hopefully going to come together or do something. But for the most part, for what we see on its first few episodes, it is so totally grand. Now, that being said, this feels like an everyday story. Now, you're probably thinking like, well, it's everyday, why is it animated? And that's a good question. This is a show that could probably work if it wasn't animated. But the fact that it is animated, and it's done in a style that is very cartoonish, these characters feel like they would belong in, say, an Aardman type of production rather than, say, a Pixar type production. Pixar is well known for its style as far as like creating semi-realistic human characters. If you look at the characters in The Incredibles, they look better than, say, I don't know, most 2D cartoons, but they are not photorealistic looking humans. I mean, we kind of tried that. I mean, if you watch Toy Story, you get humans there that look pretty human, and they weren't really good at the science back then, but they've gotten them looking like really super, like, wow, okay, that actually looks almost photorealistic now, but not too photorealistic. They always hold back on that. Think about Princess Fiona in Shrek. I realize that's a DreamWorks property, not related to Pixar at all. But I actually believe that they, when they were first doing the test for that, they realized they could make Princess Fiona look very realistic, but they actually held back on that, and I think that's smart. So in the case of these characters, they have bug-out eyes, and they do all kinds of things. And by all kinds of things, this is what I'm going to talk about with the show. This show merges reality and fantasy together in such a way that it's very easily understandable. Here are 2 examples I'm going to give, because these are the first 2 episodes. The first episode focuses on one gal who's the daughter of the coach, but she's not very good at softball. And here's the thing. You see her anxiety and worry being represented by this sort of big drop thing. And this drop thing comes from her sweat. You see her sweat kind of come out from her forehead, and then it just kind of like backs itself up and then becomes this weird kind of lump on her shoulder. And then this lump thing gets bigger and bigger with all the stress and all the anxiety she has. And it tells her constantly negative things. And at one point in time, it's like a huge lump on her back, almost the size of her. And to make matters worse, something that really isn't delved upon here, but apparently this girl her parents have gotten a divorce, and they have just got a divorce. Like, the dad still has things in the house and is slowly in the process of moving them out. And I actually kind of like the fact that the show goes there, but it doesn't quite go all the way there. But I do like the aspect that, hey, the father still loves the girl, even though it might not seem like that. And there are times in which, like, you'll see, like, really dark shadows on this character going like, what did you do? You know, and stuff like that. But you can tell that it's all done from the perspective of this little girl who's scared of life. And I really think that this is kind of awesome. And this show really taps into that, and it's very relatable. And I feel like there really needs to be more shows that are targeted at kids that we're starting to get now that are really going there. And they should go there. They should absolutely go there. And this one is just going really well. And then in episode 2, it switches to the perspective of an adult who's the umpire in the game, who has to deal with the jeers of other people who are not satisfied with his calls. And we see him like kind of have this suit of armor that just sort of forms over him like he's a video game character, like from Clash of Clans or something. And it's hysterical. And it shows him like, it shows that he was once in a relationship and stuff like that. And he's trying to get himself out there again, but he's so hung up on his ex, and he knows he did something wrong, and he knows that he's put his armor on too hard. And there's this element of like this, his self-protection is kind of like in there, and he's trying to deal with that, but at the same time, yeah, it just, and this was an episode that I was surprised at the ending, because I'm going to get into spoilers here. He doesn't get back with his ex. No, actually, in fact, his ex gets engaged by the end of the episode. Now, this is something that they could just unravel that plot line if they wanted to, and if they do, I would have to accept that for what it is, because, you know, I mean, you've obviously highlighted this episode where this character has done all this, and now you're just kind of like, what? Are you just going to undo that? Guess so. I don't know. All I know is that I love it, okay? I'm sorry. This was just no, I'm not sorry. There should be more shows like this, specifically for kid audiences, man. And some of this stuff deals with complex things that adults deal with. Why aren't there more shows like this? This is a win, and here's the thing. This is probably one of the best things that Pixar has done in a long time. So this is as good as Soul. This is as good as, well, I don't know, Turning Red. Some people didn't like Turning Red. I did. I actually felt like that was a film that really went there as far as adolescent issues are concerned. And it's not an area that Disney, I think, has been very comfortable into dwelling in. And if they do dwell in, it's done in a very, what's the word, conventional way. Like, we've seen this before, and it was, you know, you can make comparisons. Here, I mean, I went like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this issue being taken like this. And it should be. So I'm anxious to see where this show is going to go in the future, and I'm not really, it's very clear that they're obviously going toward the big game. And I don't know how many episodes are in this show, and I don't know if they can focus on if they're going to focus on certain characters. There's this one character who was introduced who just has this earring that says Cool Mom. And I thought, I want to know more about that character. Please show me more about that character. Also, there's a character that is introduced that's helping out that girl who's not good at softball. I can't remember her name. Is it Keisha or something? Anyway, she's got braids in her hair, and she kind of makes, and the best part about this show is you're seeing elements, like in episode 2, you're seeing elements that were in the first episode there in the background. So you're sort of following this thing. So it's a bigger storyline that you are following, and I'm really anticipating what this is. I don't know, this could be as complex as a show as, say, Severance or something like that. Okay, it's probably not going to be Severance, but you get what I'm saying here. This is something that people can talk about, and it's like you're trying to figure out the clues as far as what's really going on with each of these characters. That's great, man. I need more shows like this. I can't give this show higher praise So yeah, no notes. Keep doing what you're doing, Pixar.